Hey guys, and welcome back to Jenny's One Voice. I don't know why I'm doing that. Anyhoozle. Last week I was not able to upload a video. We did not have heat in our house, and there was a lot going on, both emotionally and mentally. Too, so I had a lot going on and I just couldn't upload a video. So if you want to read about that, I did post about it on my Facebook page, which is linked on my YouTube channel. So if you want to follow me on my Facebook page at Jenny's One Voice, be sure to go follow me there to see the haps and follow my blog and read more about my life. I post there daily, at least I try to. Sometimes I don't have an idea of what to post, so sometimes that's why I don't post, because I just run out of ideas. Sometimes you just don't know what to post. I mean, keeping up with it daily can be hard sometimes. I have a little cold, or not really a little cold. I don't really know what it is yet. I keep catching, sorry about that. I keep catching bronchitis and having fevers, so we don't know what it is. And I've had COVID. So we don't know if it's long-term COVID like my mom has. We don't know what it is, because I just keep catching it over and over and over again. Anyway, enough about me. This week's topic is high functioning autism is not easy autism. A lot of people have thought that because, and I know a lot of people don't like the term high functioning, but I am high functioning. I just am. And I don't know what else to call it. I don't know what else. That's just what I've always been taught to call it. Before the levels came out and all that kind of stuff, that's just what I always was taught to call it. And I was originally diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which is now highly offensive to people, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand why. I gotta look into that more. I mean, Temple Grandin was diagnosed with Asperger's. There was highly famous people that were diagnosed with Asperger's, so I don't know when it became highly offensive. So if you guys know, let me know in the comments below, because I don't know when the turning point was. Because I had actually tried making a page called Before This One and got a lot of backlash because it was called The Aspie Girl. So that's kind of how I learned that Asperger's is not something people like to hear anymore. But that was my diagnosis. But now, out of respect for others in the autism community, I just am learning the new terminology and everything. And I do just say I'm autistic, because I am autistic. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel there's anything wrong with saying I'm autistic. I don't feel there's anything wrong with saying I'm not on the Asperger's syndrome. I actually feel more equal saying I'm autistic, because I always felt kind of out there saying I was on the Asperger's syndrome. I had Asperger's syndrome. I always felt so alone, because I didn't know if there were others out there like me, but now I kind of feel like there are, if that makes any sense. I don't feel so alone anymore. Ever since I made these pages, I don't feel so alone. I've met other people like me, and I don't feel alone anymore. I am learning so much from so many people, and I just don't feel alone. I feel understood for the first time in my life from other people besides my mom. Anyway, just because we're high functioning doesn't mean that we have it easy. We have different struggles than, say, a nonverbal child or individual, or even a level 2 individual. We are very aware of what's going on around us. Once we get taught, of course. And even when I was in kindergarten and stuff like that, I was aware. It took time. It took a couple years for me to be more aware, but I was aware. I knew I was different. And about second grade, I knew for sure I was different. And we have different struggles. Like, I had to leave the classroom. We have different struggles. I had to go to social groups. I had to learn what was appropriate. So, it took a couple days, but I'm back to record. I haven't been feeling well, as I said in the previous video. So this is not going to be posted on a Thursday, and I don't think I'm going to be able to post on Thursdays because of school and college work. So I think I'm going to have to pick a new day to upload and record and edit, because those take like 3 separate days. But I think I'm going to start uploading on the weekend. I'm not really sure. I haven't figured it out yet. I think I'm going to upload on the weekend because I have much more time, usually. Unless I have a lot of work that week. And also have doctor's appointments in addition, which can happen. It's happening like the next 3 weeks, so we'll see. It can just be crazy around here. Doctor appointment in the house. My life feels like doctor's appointments sometimes. Okay, so, like I was saying, just because we're higher functioning does not mean that it is easy. It is just as challenging as level 2 and level 3. Just in different ways. I want to share all of the things I've had to learn. I've had to learn how to communicate verbally, like in an appropriate manner and age appropriate. Let me turn this actually. I've had to learn how to communicate non-verbally, like socially with you have to learn how to do it not just verbally, but non-verbally. Like what people mean with their body expressions and what people mean when they're not talking as well. Because I used to get easily offended when people weren't talking, like, what does this mean? Oh my gosh, like, what does that mean? And I thought they just weren't talking to be rude, and that's not always the case. It's just sometimes people like to work in silence, and sometimes people just don't want to talk, and sometimes people are in a bad mood. That's a big thing I've had to learn. Sometimes people are just in a mood, and they're just not, doesn't mean they're not the same person, just means they're in a mood, and they don't want to chitter chatter like they usually do. You have to learn all these different things in all these different settings, like school, movie theaters, anywhere you want to go, really. And if you want to make friends, you have to learn where they want to go, where they go, and you have to learn their house. You have to learn to be comfortable there. You have to learn to be comfortable in all sorts of different places, which is hard because I'm an extreme introvert, I think. Not extreme, maybe, but maybe. I don't know. I hate to say that, but it's probably true. I like to go out and do things, but I also like to be at home. But I would love to have a friend to do things with, which I'm hoping will happen when we move. And we really think it will. My mom wants the same thing for herself as well. That we both can just have a friend to go do things with. And I would also really like to have a boyfriend and a husband and like settle down and that kind of thing eventually. But all those things require knowing and compromise and knowing their social do's and don'ts and like knowing their triggers and like what'll make them mad and working with them. And it's relationships in general. You have to make sure that you are a two-way team, that you don't just work one way and you don't just think about yourself, you think about the other person too. That's what I'm trying to say. Facial expressions. Oh, this was a huge one for me. I had to learn facial expressions. And I did. It took a really long time, but I did. And now I know when people are making faces at me, when people are staring at me, when people are making inappropriate faces at me and all that kind of stuff. And it took a really long time. Like, people would make like my mom and therapies I was in would make faces and have me guess what it was. And that really helped me develop knowing what kind of facial expressions were out there and knowing what they were. One thing I also had to learn was how to deal with bullies. I'm still getting better with this, I'd say, but I'm way better than I was. I can stand up for myself now. My previous job taught me a lot about this. How to stand up for myself, how to stand up for others even, and I'm not going to stand down and let people walk all over me. I have more worth than that. And you shouldn't let people walk all over you. Just because I'm autistic and I can talk and I'm higher functioning doesn't mean that you get to walk all over me. That's not how it works. Doesn't mean that I'm less. Doesn't mean that any of that stuff by any means. It doesn't mean that I'm somehow any of those things that people like to think. That I'm less, that I'm somehow dumb, that I'm not going to know what they're doing. I've been taught to know what you're doing, dude. So please, I know what you're doing, so stop it. How to stand up for myself. Standing up for myself is still really tough to this day because it's hard to know what to say in the moment. It's like it has to be planned. Like I have to have comebacks planned. And I literally did at my job. I would have them planned once I knew these people were so rude. I would have comebacks planned. And when it happened, I would have them planned, and then that would help, or like things to help me stand up for myself back in the noggin. That would help so I could actually do it and not just sit there and take it and let them be happy and think they won by degrading me. We have to, higher functioning individuals have to learn appropriate behavior for your age. And this was hard for me at first, but I didn't want to give in to this at first. You don't want to, I didn't want to give up my toys when I was younger. I didn't want to start hanging out. It didn't make sense to me. And I didn't want to start doing what other kids my age were doing, but I did, because in the long run, my mom wanted me to have less bullying as I could, even though I did have a good run, like a lot. You have to learn how to deal with your anxieties. Like if you're anxious about going out, you have to go out. You have to deal with that. Like I was so anxious at one point about school. I wasn't sure I was going to graduate, even because I wasn't even doing my homeschool work. Everything made me anxious. I got help, and eventually I did graduate, and here I am in college with like a year and a half left, and I'm really happy about that. And I never thought I would get this far, and my family certainly never thought I would get this far, but I did. You got to challenge your anxiety, because if you don't, you're missing out on so much. And if you challenge it, it just feels so good when you get past that block and you do it. Large groups of people. I always had a challenge with large groups of people when I was younger. I couldn't be in them. I couldn't have friends of large groups of people. I can now, but when I was younger, I couldn't. Like, if my friend was a friend in a group, I would just be with that one friend in the group and pick her and only be with her. And if the other people tried to interact with me, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, no, she's my friend. I don't know you people. Too many people to know. Too many people to interact with. She's my friend. I don't know you people. And large groups of people in like schools was too much. And when you're in Vegas and you get into the higher education, like middle school even, there was like thousands of students. That was awful. And I decided it was a great idea to go back for a year. Boy. And I promised I'd stay for the year, and I did, and then I got the heck out of there and went back to homeschooling. We have to learn appropriate manners, like eating out in public, like, because utensils can be hard for some of us, like me. So I still, to this day, will just grab stuff with my hands when I'm at home, because utensils can be super hard. Sometimes I'll substitute a fork with a spoon, depending on what the food is, because a fork I just can't use justice. I can't get it to stick in the food and bring it up if it's too small or whatever. And so I use a spoon for a lot of things that most people don't, like rice and noodles, and because that's just easier for me. And I hate it if stains get on my clothes. It still sends me into a riot a little bit. Yeah. So you want to learn appropriate manners so when you go out, you don't end up getting embarrassed down the road like I did. Like I told you guys in a previous video. You want appropriate manners of talking, eating, behaving, even clothing. You want it all to match your age. I mean, you want to fit in, but you don't necessarily want to wear the skinny jeans. You want to wear your sweatpants, or like my mom said, she was trying to help me fit in with the little girls, and I would not wear the pretty little dress she gave me. I wanted to wear the same outfit every single day, and she just would rewash it because I put up such a fight. And I did try just skinny jeans in middle school, but mind you, we were in Vegas. I thought this idea was crazy. How did people, but I also got hot really easy. So I don't know how the heck they wore them. I was like, it's hot. How are you guys wearing skinny jeans like long sleeve shirts? It's ridiculous. And I got way too sweaty and everything, so I went back to my gray leggings and a t-shirt eventually. It's a struggle. It's a struggle because you want to fit in and you know you don't. And it's visible enough. Like my counselor told me in middle school, it's visible enough, you're visible enough that you can be a target, but you're not so disabled that it makes it okay, which that's literally what she said. And you're not so disabled that it makes it okay to them to bully you. It makes you the perfect target. And I found that true to this day, sadly. And anyway, just because we're higher functioning does not mean that we struggle any less. Just because I'm higher functioning does not mean that I struggle less. I still struggle. And I hope this gave you some insight into the struggles I've had and the struggles I still kind of have and still do have. And I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for all that Jenny's One Voice has to offer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!